Selectmen's Staffing Committee. Apologies this evening, I've done. Minutes of the meeting of the 19th of October. Are there any comments, amendments, corrections that anybody wishes to propose? Okay, proposed by Stan, second please. Yeah. Ivan, all in favour? Unanimous. Okay, declaration of interests. So members are required to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests. You may have on items of the agenda tonight, and any other interests that you may have in respect of items of the agenda. 4. Deputations, member of the public. Or the member of the public seat, council.
Yes, I'm here as a member of the public, but obviously, but it's for the council that I'm doing the deputation for myself as a councillor. I understand the need for confidentiality and exempt items when it comes to matters of employment. But what concerns me is that as a full council, we're not getting reports. Other councils will give confidential reports to members so that we know. We don't want to know that someone's been off sick with a bunion or something. We just want to know what has been done and if things are improving. If you go to Rutland County Council's website, you'll see they have a system of red, amber and green. I'm not suggesting that Oakham Town Council does that, but county councillors get to see all exempt reports, and they get a report from all the committees saying what they've done, and it's not just as you put in item 7 any recommendations. So I'm just trying to put through to you as the chairman of the group that in the new year maybe we could start with a few more reports of what we've done or how things are improving, and then there's no rumour or discontent amongst people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The reports that I say could be confidential to members, but noted in meetings.
Okay, thank you. As a final look at the pension scheme policies, members will recall that last meeting of the council, these policies discretionary policies came before the council. It was agreed to refer them to the staffing committee for a decision. There are a number of policies which we have to make a decision on, and I think All in favour? Can you show, please?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 is about flexible retirement. Now, there's a position in local pension scheme where you can take flexible retirement. I won't explain flexible retirement, but you've got to be age 55 or over before you can do this. And you've got to be reducing your working hours by 40% or by dropping a grade. That means you're going to pay it for the lower salary, which allows some people taking flexible retirement to actually get a pension and continue to work, which is quite good. Anyway, again, we're going back to the default position here, where the council has agreed to release pension where there is no cost and not to waive any reduction. And that members must reduce their hours by a minimum of 40% or reduce their grade.
Yes.
The reason for that is that you could actually take flexible retirement. Say you retire for 2 days a week, continue to work for 3. If you continued on your previous salary and also took your pension, you'd be no worse off, but you're only working 3 days a week. So that's the reason for the reduction of the 40%. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Another proposal for that, please.
Yeah.
Proposal? Stan, second?
Well, I proposed that.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. I'm no
Joyce, second.
problem.
All those in favour?
Yeah,
Yeah.
proposed by Joyce, seconded by Stan.
No
Okay.
problem.
No, no.
Oh,
Right, number 4, which is
Yeah.
called switching on the rule of 85. The rule of 85 is a strange thing in that an employee has got to have attained the age of 55 or over and needs to have worked or been in the local pension scheme for at least 30 years. So it's 55 plus 30 makes 85. So it's that sort of so the rule of 85 is an age for possible early retirement. But it's most unlikely anyway. Anyone up to not 85 yet? No. So you've got to be in the pension scheme for 30 years and be at least 55. So it's most unlikely that may occur in town council.
yeah.
Okay, so again we're going back to the default position, and the council will not apply either discretion unless there is a business case to support this as an alternative to a redundancy situation, which is what this is used for.
Yeah.
It's used to ease out on a redundancy position.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Right.
Okay, proposed, please.
Yeah, proposed.
Adam, second. Stan, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Waiving of actuarial reductions. This is where
Yes.
somebody retires early and the actuaries who advise the scheme, they do a triennial actuarial assessment. They decide what the actuarial reduction would be if somebody retired early. Obviously, if you retired 10 years early, you wouldn't get your pension if you were 65. And this is to waive that reduction so that the person who was retiring would actually get the full amount if we agreed to it. So what we're saying is the council will not apply this discretion unless there are exceptional circumstances. And under, where are we? Under policy 5 on that green paper. The council will not apply this discretion unless there are exceptional circumstances supported by a business case. The staffing committee will consider any case and then make a recommendation to the council as to whether actuarial reduction should be waived. In all cases, the financial position of Oakham Town Council must be considered. Is that clear?
Yeah, this would be where there'd be extenuating circumstances, because sometimes people have to retire due to ill health.
Compassionate grounds, there could be,
Yeah.
all sorts of things, yes.
So
So
we're looking at...
you're looking at individual cases on
Yeah.
this one, yes.
Okay.
And that if there's an application for us to consider it, then obviously the staffing committee will have to meet and make that decision and then recommend to or not to do it to council.
So the baseline here is then that at the moment that if they retired due to extenuating circumstances, that we wouldn't waive.
You would waive.
We would waive them. We would waive them.
Sorry, no, you wouldn't.
No, you
You
wouldn't.
wouldn't. No.
Right.
So if there was a reduced pension, the council would not top it up. Basically, that's the bottom
So that's the
line.
proposal of the council,
Yeah.
not apply the
It
discretion
would
unless
not.
there are exceptional circumstances.
And
So we won't take it as we're not taking it as read. We're going to say we'll discuss it as and when it comes up.
what are the exceptional circumstances, which would be individual cases?
Yeah. Now, also the second part of that, you can see the default position on for the Council's employment committee and the director involved. Obviously, that isn't appropriate for Oakham Town Council, so the wording has been changed to Staffing Committee, Council, the financial position of Oakham Town Council, not the County Council.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's those changes as well.
Yeah.
So all really is happening there is we've just changed Employment Committee to Staffing Committee, County Council for Oakham Town Council.
Right, okay.
Okay, and it would be for the members of the Staffing Committee if such a case was made to them to consider it.
Right.
You okay?
Yeah.
I'd propose that we accept this.
Proposed item seconded.
Yeah, it's changed.
Second by Stan.
All those in favour of the amended discretionary policies? And the first one is shared cost additional voluntary contributions facility, which is rather a mouthful. This is where the employers, the discretion allows the employer to maintain and contribute to an employer's additional voluntary contribution scheme. And we're saying that the council will not adopt this discretion. It will not have an effect on the existing ADC facility available where the employee only is able to make such contributions. So if an employee wants to take out an AVC, then what we're saying is that the employer alone will contribute to it and the council will not.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I did.
Yep. Okay. Any question on that? No. Proposal for that?
Yeah.
Joyce, second.
Yeah.
And all those in favour? Thank you, unanimous. Now the next one is where you're going to elect to transfer within 12 months. Now this allows the employer to extend the 12-month limit a member has in which to elect to transfer other pension rights into the local pension scheme. So if we were to employ someone who had been in a private company in a private pension scheme and joined us in whatever way they did, they have up to 12 months to elect to transfer the pension rights from that scheme into the local pension scheme.
Alright.
Now, how that is done is left to the administrating authority at Leicestershire County Council, and they obviously look at the pension scheme and decide whether it's up to the local government scheme or whether they only accept 2/3 of it, half of it, or whatever it is. But that's their decision. But
So we're sticking with the 12 months and not giving an extension unless there's extenuating.
extenuating circumstances is where evidence exists that an election was made.
And the rules do say that you have to offer any period of time anyway, don't they, I believe?
Yes, they have 12 months. They have 12 months to do that.
I get that.
Okay? Everybody else okay on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll propose that.
Yeah, the other thing is obviously
Yes.
it has to be with the agreement of the administering authority.
Yeah, 'cause
So
they can always say they don't want it because it may not be compatible or maybe
Yes,
it's bad.
exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's when they do the assessment.
Yeah, I'll work
Okay.
that myself.
Okay, so you
Yes.
did you propose that, Adam?
Yes.
Seconded by Stan. All in favour?
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous. Right.
and again
The next one is the
just change. We've deleted the words administering authority because the Oakham Town Council isn't the administering authority. Just go back to 2.
That's 2.
Change 3.
We're going 3. Right, this one is very similar to the previous one.
Yeah, it just appears to be where there's an oversight.
It is, yeah, and that is the 12 months where the election was not received by the administrative authority, so something had gone wrong in the passing of information over to Leicestershire County Council, and where evidence exists the member was not aware of the 12-month limit due to maladministration. It is, yes. Any problems with that one? So, Stan proposed, seconded,
Yeah.
and all in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you. And on to number 4. This is the discretionary employer has to determine the contribution band which is allocated to each individual employee. The contribution bands are ranked in salaries.
Yes.
So within a certain salary range you pay a certain contribution, and it's up to the employer to decide which contribution band anyone sits in, and that's usually done. You do it 6 monthly, yearly.
Yeah, I mean you just run a sort of exercise half yearly just to see if anything is done. The bands are actually very, very broad.
Yeah.
The actual salary bands are very broad, and it goes from 5.5%, 5.5, 6. These are the employee contributions. So for the time being, both Alison and myself will be, where we are really. But obviously, the way that it's calculated, you've got the policies there. The base pay plus any overtime. We run a half-yearly check, and obviously make a recommendation that there could be a situation where, for instance, responsibilities of one of the employees changes radically, and the staffing committee has made a recommendation perhaps that the pay is regraded, and then obviously the contribution band may change. So we need to just keep an eye on it. Again, if there is a contractual change, for instance, a significant increase in salary, then that would need to be taken into account. But it's not somebody working a few hours here and a few hours there extra. It's got to be contractual and agreed.
Okay.
This does not affect the employer's contribution. This is purely the employee's contribution. The employer's contribution is decided by the administrative authority. All right?
Yeah.
Do you propose?
Yeah.
Stan, second.
Yeah.
Adam, all in favour?
Yeah.
Unanimous. Okay. And number 5. Now this discretion allows the employer to determine whether to include in the calculation of assumed pension pay in that for a regular lump sum payment. So if somebody received a regular lump sum, it's up to the council to decide whether that is part of pensionable pay. And as long as it's a regular sum of payment. And also the second part is where the employee pay needs to be calculated where the pay has been reduced due to certain absences. Now this could be unpaid sickness, for instance. If somebody was off for a month, 2 months on unpaid sickness, their contributions would not be taken because they were unpaid. And therefore it is for the council then to decide what those contributions would have been. So there's no loss, detrimental loss to the employee. Okay. So if for instance somebody was off for 2 or 3 months without pay, and it was agreed that they'd be off without pay, what you have to look at was what pay would that person have received during those 2 or 3 months.
So they shouldn't be disadvantaged.
So they shouldn't be disadvantaged.
Right.
Okay. But you've also mentioned that the employees would pay that contribution and the employer would pay the contribution.
Yes.
Because the employee has not paid during that period because they've not received any pay.
That's the national home.
Okay.
Yes.
It's all right.
Yeah, and again, the policy is to look at it individually, so there is, to sort of say, what are the words used there, fair, equitable and justifiable. So again, it's not committing the council to anything, it will be up to members to sort of look at it, look at the individual case and make a recommendation.
And that will come back to staffing committee to make their recommendation. The change in wording is that the staffing committee recommends to the council that the above policy, I'm reading wrong one, that to determine in individual cases where necessary to establish in a fair, equitable and justifiable way and what the members likely pay would be
The pension, it's interesting that the pension rules and regulations are definitely gearing towards the people that are going to get them, because obviously the government are in a overheard, I think, on this, aren't
Okay. Okay, item 6 then is to decide whether to exclude public and press during consideration of item 7, which is the absence throughout under section 102 of the Oakham Act, as amended due to the confidential nature of the matters to be discussed. Proposal for that.
Proposed.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Joyce?
Yeah.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you. Unanimous. Thanks, Mark.